when somebody gets a heart attack in Syria, we used to blame Israel. When somebody falling from the 4th floor in Saudi Arabia, we used to blame Israel. So Israel now is not blamed anymore by the Arabs, because the Arabs start realizing how they are killing each other and how the Muslims are killing each other. And Israel looks like, if Israel is not mentioned anymore in the Arab media, in my opinion, that means that Israel is in a good shape. Yes?
Do you get any pushback from within your own community because of your outspoken nature?
See, I think when it comes towards the Palestinians, I am a person who moved 12 years ago from East Jerusalem to Jericho. And right now I'm living in Jericho, which is completely under the jurisdiction of the Palestinian Authority. I used to participate for 14 years in a weekly live program on the Israeli TV in Arabic. It's called Dialogue. It used to be every Thursday from 7 till 7:30, talking about the current situation. And each word I spoke it here in English, I almost said it in Arabic probably over than millions of times. I didn't face, any kind of troubles, neither from the society nor from the Palestinian Authority. But on the other side, in 1996, I was arrested by Arafat. But I was so lucky that I kept in jail only for 25 hours. And the only one who succeeded to release me in that time was the former US Secretary, Warren Christopher, under the Bill Clinton administration in 96. He is the one who picked up the telephone to Arafat, and he told Arafat, you have 5 minutes to release him, and I want to hear on the news that Bassem Eid was released. So no doubt that gave me, a kind of impunity. I am also a media man. I appeared in the most famous programs around the world. So that's also add more and more to my protection. Now, I remember when I used to appear on the TV and on the next day to go to Jenin, as an example, then people came to me and they said, yesterday night you was perfect. You really criticized them as they should have to be criticized, which means the Palestinian Authority. So I don't see that people are looking to me, in a different eye, or in a strange, let's say, a vision here. I think that the majority of the people still supporting, the ideology, the political ideology that I am carrying in my mind. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
If the more moderate people, Palestinians, were to speak out and voice their discontent and their longing to maybe normalize relations with Israel, what would the consequences be?
See, I think that we have so many Palestinians who has their own business cooperation with the Israelis. But unfortunately, such kind of things are happening so secretly. Because the Palestinian Authority is not interested right now in any kind of cooperation between Palestinians and Israelis. And unfortunately, the Palestinian Authority, any kind of cooperation, used to call it normalization. And these days, in the Arab countries especially, normalization is so prohibited until Israel will solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which is, in my opinion, the prohibition of the normalization, it probably not exist between the individuals and Israel, but it is still exists between Arab countries and Israel. I just heard, a month ago that the Israeli representative to the United Arab Emirates went back to Dubai, and he opened his office right now in Dubai. So no one in Dubai is allowed to cooperate with Israel, but governments are cooperating with Israel. If we will take the recent Iranian nuclear weapon deal, which has been signed between the United States and some other European countries, I think that that deal is probably the only positive thing which came out of that deal, that this deal almost paved the way for more and more security cooperation between Israel and the Arab countries, especially Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia right now don't believe anymore in any American administration. They believe much more with Israel. And if any coming war will take place between Iran and the Gulf, I believe that the Gulf are going to be much more protected via Israel rather than via the United States. So under the carpet, you have so many things. But on the carpet, you have just nothing, and it looks like very dry. So people, in my opinion, are very scared to come and to say that I have any kind of cooperation with the Israelis, because that will looks like a kind of normalization, which is completely prohibited, by the Palestinians. But so many things are taking place right now between the Israelis and the Palestinians. But unfortunately, I would love to see such kind of things trying, more and more to be clear for the both sides, for the Israelis and the Palestinians. I am a person who believes that such kind of cooperation, it probably will lead us for a kind of coexistence. Without cooperation, we couldn't coexist. We couldn't. We need it. And this is one of the most essential things, I think, in our daily life, the cooperation between the Israelis and the Palestinians. So I believe that people are still, prefer not to speak so loudly on what they are really doing with the Israelis. Yeah.
As a student who's been on campus for 2 years now and has struggled to get pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian groups and students together for numerous reasons, what would your advice be to help to foster, communications in spaces where students feel comfortable to be able to see each other as people and not as ideologies?
Towards the pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian, really I am getting so sick from such words here in the United States. I don't know why the two sides are hating each other. And I don't think that via hate we can bring peace for anywhere around the world. I think that a pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian should have the definition for such pro-world should have to be how to fight against the hate and how to call for more and more coexistence. Unfortunately, I was disturbed by the so-called pro-Palestinians, which I will never consider them as a pro-Palestinians. I think that these pro-Palestinians here in the United States are causing a huge damage to the reputation of the Palestinians. I remember when I was in the middle of February at Chicago University, and I was totally disturbed, and I attacked, and I was threatened even over there by the so-called Palestinian, pro-Palestinian students over there. So I don't think that a pro means to hate. Pro means how we can respect, how we can create a dialogue, how we can coexist.
In support of.
Exactly, in support of. But unfortunately, the word pro here in the campuses has a completely the opposite of the all meanings of the word pro. Yeah.
I was with Yael at Berkeley when there was the demonstration a few days ago, and I hope Yael, you remember I said I've never come across such viciousness and hatred in my work in Israel with the Palestinians as I felt and saw and heard from speakers that were on the campus in Berkeley. And the one thing I would like to say also, which will, hopefully you will agree with me, that anybody who only supports one side in this conflict is only promising you and me that it's going to continue.
Yeah.
That it has to be, that there's understanding of both, and to be able to build bridges that we can look, as I said before, to a better future.
You gave us a lot of hope and a lot of the things you do, but let's be honest, like we'll go back to Israel, and there's hatred, and there's hard stuff, and there's reality, and people cannot live with each other, and people cannot live without each other, and you said that. But do you believe that we'll see, I mean, it's been like that for the past 50, 60 years, more. Will we see peace in our generation? Will we see a change, a difference in something? Because in the past 60 years, nothing has changed.
Yeah, unfortunately, I must have to say that the situation right now is a very tense situation between the Israelis and Palestinians. I totally agree that what I realized in the past probably 8 months, I don't remember it ever since 1967 until those days. It is very complicated. It is no doubt that it is full of incitement and hatred between each other. If you will ask me, I'm really not so optimistic, by the way, towards the future, that the future in 20, 40 years is going to bring peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Because when I am looking today to the Arab countries and what is going on inside the Arab countries and how the Islamic fundamentalists and extremists are growing, I think that that's the direct threat to any solution between the Israelis and the Palestinians. I am looking to the Hamas today as an example. While we, the Palestinians, asking the Israeli side to withdraw from the West Bank, then a prominent leaders of Hamas standing in Gaza by saying if Israel will withdraw from any part of the West Bank, that part will be reoccupied by the Hamas. So now I think that Israel will never ever repeat again the mistake that they did in the Gaza Strip. I think that the Israelis are suffering right now from the disengagement from the Gaza Strip. And we, the Palestinians on the other side, in Gaza, totally failed to manage ourselves by ourselves. Totally failed. I think that what's going on in Gaza right now, I believe that we, the Palestinians, almost destroyed in Gaza what remains from the Israeli occupation. We destroyed. I remember when Ariel Sharon announced on his plan to withdraw from Gaza, where some Palestinian leaders, prominent leaders, start running from one TV channel to another TV channel by saying if Israel will disengage from Gaza, we are going to make from Gaza Singapore. I never been in Singapore, but I am wondering if Singapore situation is like Gaza right now. So I think that we fail to manage ourselves by ourselves. And again, I must have to say it and to repeat it for millions of times. While we, the Palestinians, are so divided, I didn't see that there is any opportunity towards peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Last question.
Okay, I think that there can be peace if you could take the place of Abbas
Oh,
and
I'll be
get
secretary.
and
if
get
Abbas will know that, he will kill me tomorrow morning.
and get rid of those darn
If Abbas
propaganda
will know
books.
that I am going to replace him, he will kill me tomorrow morning. Listen, Arab leaders hate to ask them to appoint a successor. Show me any Arab leader right now in the world who has a successor. No one.
Who has a, wait a minute, what?
Successor.
Oh, a successor,
Yeah.
right.
No one. They hate it. Because all the time, Arab leaders, why they don't want to appoint a successor? Because they are afraid that the successor probably will be able to make a kind of revolutionary and will take the place. So it's much better to be without a successor. And this is exactly the case of Abbas right now. The Fatah movement suggested to elect a successor to Abbas, and Abbas said, no way. No way. I don't need a successor. Why we need a successor? Anyhow, we are not going to create a state. Why we need a successor? And this is one of the major problems of the Palestinians these days, is the lack of a leadership. We don't have a leadership. If you will ask me what is the alternative to Abbas, I will tell you Abbas. We don't have. We don't have. And that means that we have to wait for a long time in terms to get a such charismatic leader who will be able to make a new change in the Palestinian lives. So I hope that I didn't provoke any of you here, but we should have to continue, hoping from time to time, because looks like that the people who are living under the Israeli-Palestinian conflict need such hope. We are surviving because of the good hope that we have that maybe a solution will be so close to the future, at least, of our children.
This poem was actually written by a 15-year-old. Well, she was 14 when she wrote it. Unfortunately, she died on her 15th birthday in Tel Aviv because she went to celebrate her birthday with friends, and unfortunately a Palestinian suicide bomber chose the same spot at the Dizengoff Center to blow himself up, and unfortunately Batrin Shachak died together with two of her friends. The summary of peace and war, what this young lady, when she was 14 in 1996, what she wrote, we should all take and learn from. And so if you would please allow me, I want to read this to you. Okay. There is not much to say. We're in a sort of halfway spot. There's no real war in the Middle East, nor is there real war. And for us, we're marching forward towards peace, ready to understand the others, prepared to make changes with one clear goal, to be rid of hatred, buried deep inside us for so long, and with the understanding that it's easy to make enemies and that the wise thing is to find friends. And I'm going to repeat that one again. That it's easy to make enemies, but that the wise thing is to find friends. We come as people who know a lot about war, but very little about peace. From now on, we'll begin to change that. Behind the fine words are years and years of suffering, pain, anxiety, and fear. Now all these words, a new word, hope, is added. A little strange, a little different perhaps. In fact, it was with us all along, even in war. And because of it, we never remained alone in the struggle. Yet if we talk about peace, we cannot conclude without the song that became the hymn of peace, together with hope in our hearts that remains all of our lives. And she took this from a peace song that they were singing in the 1960s when I made Aliyah and came to live in Israel. And what it is, don't say the day of peace will come, make it come. Please, help it, make us come. For his guys and mine. Thank you.
before I open up for questions, can we just get another round of applause?
Maybe we can all do a thumbs up or something?
Maybe we could do an A clap or something, right?
What?
Hands up for an A clap. UCLA, fight, fight, fight!